I want to open up by saying that, first of all, I absolutely love Dalvin Cook. I think he is a remarkable player, and when he's not injured, he is by far one of the best running backs in the NFL. Maybe not over McCaffrey, maybe not over Ezekiel Elliott, maybe not even over Saquon Barkley, but he is a very important component of the Minnesota Vikings offense. But at the same time, I do believe that he is in a very, very unusual position with the situation that he's currently in. Now, before we get to all of that, guys, please take a moment to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my notifications on to help the channel grow. And if you're already subscribed, make sure to drop a like, because otherwise YouTube won't show you my content anymore. On top of that, I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. And without further ado, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For those of you guys that weren't around yesterday, there was a bit of news that really caught my attention, and I don't know, this just happens to happen at the worst times. This definitely qualifies as news that I would bring you the day of, but unfortunately I couldn't do it. I was working out at the time. I was at the gym. By the time I got home and I wanted to post it, it would have been like 10 p.m. Pacific time. I figured I'd make this video today, especially if I had some time to sit on it and some more time to do some research. So for those of you guys that don't know, Dalvin Cook decided that this would be a remarkable time for him to hold out to get a new contract. Dalvin Cook is a second-round draft pick. He has $1.3 million left on his contract, and if you ask me, he's probably the best running back in the entire 2017 running back class. That still needs a contract. Of course, you have Leonard Fournette, and of course, you have Joe Mixon, and we all know their situations. Joe Mixon is definitely trending upward. Leonard Fournette seems to be trending towards a direction, well, I don't want to call him a bust, but I don't also want to call him damaged goods. Let's just say that the Jaguars don't really show him the love that you'd expect him to receive as a 4th overall pick. But the thing about Dalvin Cook that just absolutely shook me is the rationale that he provided in terms of why he is holding out. So we got to identify multiple facets of what Dalvin Cook believes that he is worth and whether his value is logical and reasonable or a little bit delusional. I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions in this video, so please feel free to pause and answer them. Here's the first question. Should the Minnesota Vikings re-sign Dalvin Cook? Now, this is before me even giving you any info. The only thing you have to go up based off of is, do the Vikings want Dalvin Cook or not? I expect at least 80% of you guys to say yes to that question. But here's the thing. Minnesota's first offer to Dalvin Cook wasn't reasonable. They already are trying to work something out. Apparently, it was worth less than $10 million per season. And Dalvin Cook, his camp originally proposed a deal in the same range as Christian McCaffrey's. And if you guys don't know, the Carolina Panthers signed Christian McCaffrey to a 4-year extension worth $16 million annually this past offseason. And Dalvin Cook's asking price has come down to $15 million more recently. So here's the thing. Now I want you guys to pause this video again and tell me, does Dalvin Cook deserve Christian McCaffrey money? Because Adam Schefter has even more to say. Dalvin Cook is holding out. He won't participate in any team-related activities until and unless he gets a new contract. He said, and according to Schefter, he says he's out. Without a reasonable extension, he will not be showing up for camp and beyond. All right, so let's do a little bit of comparing and contrasting, because I feel like Dalvin Cook knows in his heart of hearts he doesn't have the leverage to get himself a Christian McCaffrey-like deal. And here's Christian McCaffrey's stats to give you an idea. His rookie season, he played 16 games, had 117 rushes for 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, and through the air, he was able to get 651 yards, 80 receptions, and 5 touchdowns. He had a very pedestrian rookie year. He got a little bit better in his sophomore year. Actually, he got a lot bit better in his sophomore year. He was able to turn 219 rushing attempts to 1,098 yards, 7 touchdowns, And through the air, just receiving, he was able to get 867 yards and 6 touchdowns. And he played in all 16 games. Now, last season, Christian McCaffrey once again played in all 16 games, and he did even better. He got 287 rushing attempts. He got 1,387 yards, 15 touchdowns, and through the air, he had 1,000 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. Now, there's one key statistic I want you to look at when I'm comparing Christian McCaffrey to Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook's rookie year, he played 4 games, recorded 354 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground with 90 yards through the air off of 11 receptions through the air and 0 touchdowns. In 2018, Dalvin Cook played in 11 games, had 615 yards on the ground, and through the air, he had 305 yards. He was able to put up 2 touchdowns through the ground and 2 touchdowns through the air. Last season, we really saw Dalvin Cook come into his own. He played 14 games, had 1,135 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, and through the air, he had 519 yards and no touchdowns. But here's the key statistic. These 2 players, Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, both were drafted in the 2017 NFL Draft. McCaffrey being a top 10 selection, Dalvin Cook being a second-round pick. And there's one very obvious issue that I have that I think completely strips Dalvin Cook of his leverage. It's the fact that, and I'm sure most of you guys are aware of this, Dalvin Cook has only played in 29 games in his NFL career. For comparison, Christian McCaffrey has played in 48 games throughout his NFL career. Last season, Dalvin Cook finally got his first 1,000 plus yard rushing season, and he had a 500 yard receiving season. Bro, last year, Christian McCaffrey had 2,392 yards from scrimmage. And the year before, he had 1,965 yards from scrimmage. You know, he was getting there consistently. He's getting better and better. He's only improving. He's not regressing. He's playing in all of his games. You know, he's so good that the Carolina Panthers are practically making him, I think they are making him the face of their franchise, and rightfully so. If you get a running back that's putting up the numbers that McCaffrey's putting up and has no signs of slowing down, this guy's looking bigger. He's getting jacked. He year after year, he's just putting up more and more improved numbers. And it's a no-brainer to hand McCaffrey a contract. Do you know what every team in the NFL's biggest fear is when it's paying a running back? They don't want Todd Gurley to happen. The Rams paid Todd Gurley a huge, absolutely game-changing contract extension. Like a remarkable contract extension. Gurley received a 4-year, $60 million contract extension with $45 million in guaranteed, making him the highest paid running back in the NFL at the time. And what ruined everything? Well, he started having issues with his knee. And that's when he started to become less and less productive. At the time, and I don't think Todd Gurley realized this, and of course he didn't really care about this because, he got the bag. All he cares about is the bag, and I get that. Todd Gurley was pretty much an experiment for the entire NFL to see. We've seen Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm sure plenty more running backs that just aren't coming to me off the top of my head. Holdout and campaign for brand new record-setting, market-setting contracts. If Todd Gurley didn't get this extension, Ezekiel Elliott would never have gotten the extension that he got. So the issue with paying Dalvin Cook is he's already giving you these red flags that he is not even able to play a complete season. Throughout his entire NFL career, Dalvin Cook hasn't played a complete season. I'm sure there's another side to this story, and here's my biggest issue, because I looked at some articles. CBS Sports' Chris Sims states that from a football perspective, Dalvin Cook remains the centerpiece of what the Minnesota Vikings do. Cousins excelled as a play-action aficionado in 2019, but that's in large part due to Cook's explosive presence and production on the ground. Then this offseason, the Vikings doubled down on a Cook-featured offense by trading away big play threat Stephon Diggs and drafting volume receiver Justin Jefferson and recommitting to Cousins. Every move an indication that they plan to play an even more ball control offense, especially considering the uncertain state of a youthified defense. Now, here's why I'm very pissed off that Chris Sims is working for CBS Sports and I am still a free agent analyst. Because if you go back and you look at the 2018 NFL season, the season where Dalvin Cook played in 11 games and had under 1,000 yards rushing, although 4.6 yards per carry, you could essentially say that Dalvin Cook, when he was rushing for only 600 yards the entire year, he was essentially not as much of a factor. I think we could all agree with that. Well, guess what? That also happened to be the year that Kirk Cousins was significantly better in each and every major statistical category except interceptions. He had 3 more interceptions in 2018 than in 2019. For comparison, in 2018, Cousins threw for 4,298 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He had a completion percentage of 70.1%, although the Vikings only went 8-7-1. So I guess you could say that year was a bit of a flop. This past year, of course, with Dalvin Cook's improvement and him finally being able to make it to the field healthy, Cousins didn't perform as well. And of course, some yards are going to be taken away from him because he's not throwing the ball as much. But he completed 69% of his passes, which is 1% less, 3,600 yards, threw 6 interceptions, and 26 touchdowns. So I'm not trying to say Cousins is significantly better with Cook on the field, because of course he's better with Cook on the field. I would say he's marginally better. I would say he's better. I wouldn't say I need to give this injury-prone running back a contract in the ballpark of Christian McCaffrey better. But of course, yeah, he's better. So if Dalvin Cook wants to hold out, he can hold out. And if you ask me, I think this is going to turn into the Melvin Gordon situation part 2. Because at the end of the day, if I am a general manager, I am going to be very wary of giving a injury-prone running back a maximum contract, because such a move could potentially get me fired if it doesn't pan out. If you look at the Los Angeles Rams right now, they are a shell of their former selves. I live in LA, man. They're my secondary team. I'm a Cowboy fan first. I'm a Rams fan second. And I admit they're a shell of their former selves. Of course they are. There's multiple videos on this, but pretty much their issue is they gave up so much draft capital and took on so much salary and overpaid the wrong people to the point where they are doomed for failure this season. The Vikings don't want to be in that situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Should the Minnesota Vikings sign Dalvin Cook for the amount that he wants? Or how much do you think the Vikings should sign Dalvin Cook for? I'm your boy Mikerophone, and I'll catch you guys in our next upload.